Pablo. I'm super excited with the announcements that you guys did and this session. Heather said that she has been waiting all week. Honestly, it's a dream to be doing this event together. I remember when I was playing like Pokemon Go and discovering AR, and now seeing how we can teach others how to create their own WebXR games is amazing. So yeah, for those who don't know who we are StudyXR. We are an agency and a school. That's pretty awesome in the sense that we actually work with brands in order to create WebXR games, but also AR actions and filters on social media or something on the web, depends on the client's needs. And we are also a school because we understood that this XR creator is a new profession. And we have all been here for quite some time, or maybe you guys are new to this space. But I must say that if you are here, congratulations, because you are already one of the first ones to jump into XR. So the earlier that you get in, the earlier that you learn and that you put yourself out there as an XR creator, the better. You need to understand that there is some creative side to that and some technical side as well. So on StudyXR, we actually focus on teaching technology to maybe some professionals or some profiles that are coming from the creative side. And let me tell you that I know that tech, it could be scary at first, and you could feel that it's like, oh, I don't know how to code, so how I'm gonna jump into this, and those fears. I was there as well. I jumped into coding right away. It was tough, and that was the reason why I felt like, okay, I don't want to anyone else to go through this experience. You know, I'm a creative person, I'm coming from design, and that was tough. So I wanted to bring a school for people who can come with these creative ideas and make it alive through technology, not just learning code just because. So that's our mission. That's what we have been doing for over a year already. We are also now moving to a new era. On September, we are gonna have way more in-depth courses that it contains the creative side, the technical side, and the business side. Because if something is important is that XR creators is a 360 role. You need to also know how to do your pricing, how to pitch in front of clients and things like that. So we are covering that part as well. Nevertheless, if you are just curious or if you want to hang out, meet other creators and just learn some bits or join some other events like this one, you can scan the QR code that you are seeing right now on the screen, and you are more than welcome to our Discord. We are there sharing knowledge, meeting each other, and just helping and pushing this amazing community, which is XR community. So thank you for that. And now I would like to pass it to the amazing team that is going to teach us today how to create our own WebXR game. Here with us, we have Alex and Declan. They are both coming from Mousepack, and I can't wait to see what you guys have prepared. We have been showing some bits on social media if you follow us for this week. But yeah, I know that you guys have so much prepared. So let's get started.
Yeah, hi. My name is Alex. I run a studio called Mousepack. While Declan does not work at Mousepack, sometimes he helps me out with some projects. What we are is a studio of artists and developers, and we work with a lot of top companies, including Niantic, but also Snapchat, Meta. What our job is pretty much to entertain the generation below us. No one wants to be served ads anymore. No one wants to just see a Pepsi commercial in the middle of their streaming. So the need obviously is how can Gen Z and below, or even millennials, play with advertisements. That is our mission, and we'll show you some of these templates. Of course, we're using them for games, which is very fun, but we always have to think about how we can make money from them. And Declan is a very talented developer that we work with often. So Declan, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So as Alex said, I'm a developer and designer. I've kind of been working in the industry for over 6 years, and I have specialized in eighth wall experience creation for about 3 of those years. So I love the platform, and I'm super excited for Studio. It's been a long time coming. I love the eighth wall tooling, and I'm so excited to continue to get to use it and use all the new tools and you know engines and things that you can do now inside of eighth wall just to make these experiences better. So I specialize in gamification and turning educational content and marketing experiences into games of some sort. So that's what I love to do, and I'm very thankful and grateful for the opportunity to continue to get to do that. Cool.
Alrighty. I'll
So
go my screen share and let Alex take over from here.
Take it away. Awesome. Well, hello everyone. Pablo, are we giving this asset out in the chat here?
Yeah, I will paste the link right now.
Okay, awesome. So this is a little alligator that we had, and I'll show you what we're doing with that. Let me get over to the eighth wall main page. So we can see here on the eighth wall main page, I'm very proud, but our 3 projects, we have Bunny Blitz, Botanical Blaster, and Bog Battle. All 3 of these can be duplicated and create your own projects. So I'm just going to go through and walk through these, put your thinking caps on. All the assets can be swapped out. All the mechanics can be adjusted, and we'll give you a little bit of insight into that. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch Bog Battle. So you can see powered by eighth wall. Lovely. So this game here is a tower defense style game. You can click and drag around the scene. I don't know if you can hear the audio, but we have some nice little music that you can swap out. This mechanic here lets you build. So if I wanted to click something that is worth 1 coin, I can go ahead and put those down there. We can see our enemies are starting to come in. So if I want to block them, I can rotate or upgrade. If you tap the enemies, it hurts them. Or I can put down a tower and it will do the work for me. So every wave, there are little crocodile enemies. I'm just going to mute this for a second. There's crocodile enemies and bug enemies. And this little treasure chest in the center has a nice little health bar. So as the health bar goes down, our game gets closer to ending. So this game is supposed to be able to be manipulated to be sort of a crafting game. You could think maybe Minecraft, like mixing 2 elements together to create something else. Maybe instead of tapping enemies, you can tap a tree to collect wood. But we wanted to give a nice little strategic game. It's actually pretty fun. So that's Bog Battle. And we'll show you what that looks like in Studio. Our second one is called Botanical Blaster. When Niantic came to us for these 3 games, we tried to think what would be the 3 most common types of gameplay that someone would want to do. So we did a shooter, but to make it nice and family friendly, we shoot little acorns at these targets here. So you can swap out, you can choose a different firing rate. This one's supposed to be like a shotgun, but instead it's making these little plants grow here. But you can adjust the radius of the blast, how much it goes. And then of course, we have our little gravity gun, which I always like to throw in. So clicking and holding, we have some ray tracing, and you can pick up the blocks and toss them. You can even click here to try again. The one that I'm going to be sharing today in Studio is Bunny Blitz. This one's more of a demo. The idea of this is that you can swap it out for maybe a zombie game. Maybe it's a game where you're a Pepsi product and you're collecting little coins or little updates. I'm not sure. You can kind of do whatever you want with it, but we see we have this little radius around our fox character here. And as the bunnies get within the outer radius, you can see their little ears go up. They're scared. And if they get within this one, they start to run away from you. And of course, you can catch up to them and give them a little chomp. But if you don't want to scare away the bunnies and you want them to come to you, you can see they come to you, and Declan actually made this little particle system here to show that it's getting eaten, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it eventually disappears. And then you can swap back to the fox and get revenge. So I'm going to show you how to duplicate this project on your own, and I'll do it step by step from the main page all the way to a launched project. So I'm going to start by Xing this out, and I'm going to go just from the straight eighthwall.com page. You will need to make an account if you don't already have one, but I'm going to go ahead and click here. And then we see this button that says clone project. From there, we can choose a name. I'm going to name it Bunny Blitz Workshop. And then license type, I'm going to say this is just a demo. So now we see our project is duplicating here, and this will bump us into the studio. If you're used to working with Lens Studio, that's where I come from, which is Snapchat software, Spark AR, or even Effect House, you'll be happy to see we have a lot of the layouts the same, where the scene is being built on the left here, and then our files are all down here. So I'm going to click play, this button up here, and that'll pop open this little viewer window. If we give it a second just to get everything loaded, we can see it's starting to populate. And there, we have a little viewer. So as you make changes over here, those changes will appear in our little viewer. We tried to make this as simple as possible for non-developers to be able to add their own stuff. But we do have scripts for everything. So if you see over here on the left, well, I'll go through all of our custom components that we created here. But if you want to make your own adjustments to it, you can just click it, and nice little window pops up here. You can make any edits you want. But if you don't want to do that, and you want to just be able to adjust things without code, or just kind of a simple asset swap, we can go into our different custom components here. So we have the alert radius. I talked about how the different radiuses have different effects on the rabbits. So we have the alert radius, that's where their little ears pop up. The active radius, where they start to run. And then the event radius, which is the small circle right underneath the fox. And that's when they die or poof into another dimension. You can adjust those. So say I want my alert radius to be 20 and I want my active radius to be 10. I can make those adjustments. And then I'm going to click build up here. They're working on it so that you can just click refresh and the adjustments will automatically happen. But if they're not, clicking this little build button up here will force everything to go through. So it says success. And then if it works correctly, the radius should be much larger. Okay, so see how it's much larger underneath that rabbit there? So now they can smell that fox from any direction. If you want to change the image, that is this little drop down right here. All of these assets are being influenced by this list over here. I'm going to show you what it's like to swap out this little rabbit or this little fox with a different asset. So you can see if I go to my influencer spawner, We have the attract model. So that's, imagine we're making a zombie game, right? And this would be a terrifying running away from these little rabid monsters. That would be the attract. But the repel would be our fox. So let's make Night of the Living Bunnies, shall we? Where little bunnies are coming to destroy. So I'm going to go into my files here, and I'm going to open up our crocodile. And this is the crocodile from the bog battle. But this is also the one I was showing you here. So you can see we have all these animations. So it's walk, idle, hit, and attack. I want to make sure that we spell the animations the same way. Capitalization is important when you're creating assets. So I'm going to go in and I've added my crocodile. So if I click on it right here, you can see my GLB pops up and we got our little crocodile in his T-pose. Now, if I go here and I click on my crocodile and then I click build, we should get a tiny little baby crocodile. And the reason is because the model itself is small, but then I'll show you that we can adjust the scale of that model. There he is. So I'm gonna actually make him the attract object because I want the bunnies to actually come towards him. And then I'm just gonna bump up these numbers here. The default was 5 and 6. Let's make it 30 for both. I'm gonna click build one more time. And you can see the nice little progress bar up here, which is helpful. By the way, you can do this on any device. I was testing it on an iPad. You can do it on an iPhone. You could do it on a crappy PC laptop, which I'm doing right now. But it's just a website. So there we go. Here is our little crocodile, but you'll notice he's not walking the way that I want him to. So again, I'm going to look at my list here, and I'm going to see walk is lowercase walk. So I'm going to type that in. So I go to the attract move animation. I'm going to make him walk. And then event, I could do attack. Might be kind of fun. Now let's build. So now he's running away, and you can see his animation plays. We are working on the animation player at the moment. There is a little bit of a bug where sometimes it gets stuck in that T-pose. But you can see that our little bunnies are going to town on this guy. Or if we have it as a repel object, again, we can have them kind of go ahead and eat all those people. So I'm going to go ahead and just change all these to walk. Let's see if I can force this through. Okay, so now he's just endlessly walking and going for the little rabbits. So you can swap out that asset to, again, like I would love to make like a zombie game where, you know, the bunnies are trying to eat my little crocodile friend here and the crocodile is trying to run away. You can choose our event manager here. We'll play different audio, and this is something Declan also assisted with. We can change the any of the objects that are on the floor, they can be hidden or swapped out. So we have the ground, the field, the grass, etc. So I'm going to stop here to see if anyone has any questions on this game, this experience, or if there's any ideas that anyone wants to chat about.
Yeah, we had 2 questions come in through the Q&A. They're a little less related to this right now, but might be great to answer.
Okay.
So the first is, how can we find assets like these, rabbit and fox? Is there any good resource for assets, 3D arts, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, there's Sketchfab. Declan, do you have any? We make a lot of our assets in-house, just because we want to ensure that they have the correct armatures to them. I would say it's important not to use any like deformers to do your animation if you're creating from Cinema 4D. Most of the animation should be done with armatures, meaning bones and skeletal rigs.
And I would say I'm not an artist, so I don't make models. I get a lot of resources from different websites.
Looks like we lost Declan there.
Yeah, there's a few common ones. Turbo Squid was the original that people used for a long time. Sketchfab, I would say, is the most common that people use. But again, I would use this GLTF viewer here, and I can post this in the chat. But that's a good way to test to see if your animations are going to work in WebAR or not.
And I was just going to say, one of the ones that was just recommended to me was called poly.pizza. There's a lot of good models there. Some of them are rigged already. So I'm working on a project right now. And I don't do art, but I wanted models that were rigged and animated. And they have a lot of Creative Commons like licenses, so you can use the assets without any attribution or anything like that. So like Alex was saying, Turbo Squid is another really good resource. A lot of those are paid. I believe everything on Poly Pizza is free though, so I would kind of start there. That's a really good place to get some assets. I can drop that link in the chat too.
Great. I'm going to open up Bog Battle here, and I'll show you some of the adjustments that you can make. So these are the custom components. We put them in edit components in here. We also have documentation outlined. So if you have any questions about what can be adjusted or what affects what component, we have that all listed out for you. We have the different structures. So it starts structure 1, structure 2, and structure 3. And that just relates to the amount of coins that go to these different structures. So you can swap out these assets with anything that you want. You can put more structures on there if you want, but we just have it set up for 3. We have our resource manager here. So it can tell you how fast these little coins spawn in, how many of them you get, and how large they are. Our health indicator, we have this static little PNG bar above there, but of course you can change that to be whatever you want. And again, like ground, you can change the colors of the floor. Let's say we want to make this yellow and teal. And then if I click build here, you can see the adjustments live. We also have the rows and columns that align with the way that the grid is set up so that different items can be placed on it. So you can see it's very lovely right now. Very non-invasive colors here. You could change it to the same color if you want it to sort of blend in as well. And then we have our skybox, of course. So that skybox refers to the image in the background. Right now, again, it's just a simple color, but you can change that to whatever you want. We have our enemy spawner is set up. So we have our little crocodile. You can see him going to town here, but that can be swapped out with any asset you want. The amount that that enemy is coming in, all of those are adjustable. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
Yeah, actually, we have a couple of questions. I think it's also a little bit related with some of the steps that you were doing before, Alex. So Paris is asking what file size is ideal for each asset. So for example, the crocodile that you just imported is about 2.8 megabytes. So do you have any recommendations on that?
Yeah, I mean, as small as possible is definitely better. There's not like a hard cutoff the way that there is on a software like Lens Studio or Spark AR, because this is hosted on the web. I would say keeping it under 2 megabytes is ideal. If you have something super large, it will obviously make the experience longer during load time.
And I would just add, I've used assets, upwards of 15 megabytes. Kind of the recommendation is keeping textures around 1K. You can use textures up to 2K, I believe, in 8th wall. Anything around 4K kind of crashes the experience and doesn't work very well. I tend to try and keep my assets as low as possible, but 5K is usually where I feel, 5 megs is normally where I feel comfortable importing an asset. But it really depends on a lot of different things. I try and always compress textures. You'd be surprised at how much you can save space-wise if you are able to compress textures, and then kind of try and keep things in a low poly stylized, art style if you can. Is kind of the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, totally. I think we all have a struggle at least once with optimization of our assets and compression of the texture. And so that's good to know. We have one more question. Alex, do you want to take that one before we move forward?
Sure thing.
So Duan is asking, is there a blueprint or animation controller style flowchart tool for linking animation assets for character blended animation states?
Is there, yeah, I mean, it follows the same flow as game design. So as far as how to create these, yes, you do have to make separate animation tracks within your Blender file. As far as the step-by-step instructions on how to do that, I think it would be better to watch like a YouTube video. But yeah, any animation you create, you can separate out all those keyframes and have it be its own little animation. And that's typical for most game design.
Awesome.
And inside of Studio itself right now, there is a way to view what animations are on a 3D model. You have to bring it into the scene. So if you grab one of the 3D models and just kind of pull it into the scene, it drops it in there. And then there's a little drop-down menu that has all of the accessible animations inside of. So if you just close that window, yeah, just pull in one of your crocodiles, great. And if you click on it, it has the mesh that's available right there.
In one moment. Okay.
And then you can do animation clip.
Oh,
and
cool.
These are the animations that are baked into the 3D model right now. So those are the ones that are accessible to be used. You can kind of start them when the experience starts. There are ways to change animations using code, but I believe as of now, there's not a way to kind of change those states in experience without writing custom code to do it. So you can drop in the model and have it kind of loop an animation over and over again. And then, yeah, then you can use code to kind of change those animations.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we can continue if you want. Please keep your questions, write your question down. We are happy to answer them.
Yeah, I mean, the last one, I'm just walking through these, but I'll show you what it looks like when you open up this shooter game in Studio here. So again, I'm duplicating the project and we'll open it up in Studio.
Awesome. Meanwhile, is duplicated also on the question about from where to get your 3D assets. I discovered one tool that is from Luma AI. It's artificial intelligence that can generate your own 3Ds. I might say texturing is not the strongest just yet. I'm sure they will get it, but for the shape and so on, I totally recommend it. So as a first step, if you're looking for something specifically and you don't find the free resource, the free character or anything like that online, you can also give it a try with generative AI with 3D.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so we can, yeah, again, we just have a lot of the assets here that you can swap out, make your own games. I think I want to go back to the Bunny Blitz one though, and see if you guys have any questions here.
Yeah, so we actually have another question from Gavin. It's are animations static in place and movement created in code?
The question is, can you do animations with code?
So I will repeat the question. Are animations static in place and movement created in code? So Gavin, if you can clarify that aspect, are you referring like if they are pre-created and ready to use it from here, or if you will need to do it on code just to make sure we cover that one correctly?
Sort of animations in something like Mixamo. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So animations in Mixamo, for instance, you either get exported and you've got movement in there from A to B, or you've got the animation, like a walking animation will be static in place, and then you create the actual movement in code, but the animation is, with the animation kind of still static. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you so in Blender you have to make, if you're using Mixamo, for example, you would do one track that's the idle track and one track that's the attack or animation or something like that. That would require keyframes. But then once you export those out as keyframes, you could bring them in as a GLB file. Right now, .glb is the file that is supported for animation.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And then in code, you'd have to translate them across the scene. So like the bunnies in this scene, they're being translated in code themselves. It's changing the position of the actual GLB asset itself. So they're kind of hopping in a static position, and then we're translating where the model is actually in 3D space using code.
Cool. That's kind of what I was looking for.
Oh, got it. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, it's all right. That's okay. It's fine.
Awesome. So do you want to take another question or do you want to continue?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So Heather is actually asking a good question. I think maybe some other people is having this in mind. So is there a limit to how many projects we can clone / create on the free plan? So do you want to take
I think that'd be
that
a
one?
question for the Niantic team. Yeah.
Pablo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take that real quick. Hello, everybody. Ian here from the Niantic design team. So you have unlimited ability to clone however many projects you want on the free plan. So go ahead and clone as many as you want.
Yeah, I personally have not hit the limit. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't.
Of course you didn't. Yeah, so guys, when we mean like it's free for real. So please go there and enjoy. And then we also have a question from Alejandro. Is there is some way to keep user score ranking on this kind of game in 8th Wall? So let's talk about like ranking.
Yeah, I would say something that's really nice about 8th Wall is it's a web tool, right? So you're building something on the web. If you're a back-end developer that knows about databases and about networking and how to create a database and then send information using APIs, it all is able to be done here. You can get information from users. You can store them in databases and you can show them however you would like to. It's basically programming just like another website, but instead of kind of doing something boring and in 2D with like a GUI, you're actually creating something that's really cool with 3D elements, and you're able to kind of do anything that you can do on the web with an experience like this. It does take code though. There's not a no code solution for that yet. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for 8th Wall if that's on the way or anything, but that is not possible to do without writing custom code at this point in time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We don't have more questions coming in. If you guys have it, please post it on the Q&A. Feel free to continue with the demo or anything else, Alex.
Cool. Yeah, this one isn't working quite as intended with the augmented reality feature, but you can see that we can turn off sort of the background features, and in our camera setting here, it's selected on the world and AR. This one has a follow script, so that would need to be disabled to make it stick to the floor. But all of these projects are available in AR as well.
That's awesome, because actually we were having a question on StudyXR community about the videos that we were showing, kind of like teasers on our stories, and how that it was related with XR. So it's perfect that you answer already that question. And also Kyle has another question. Does this interface with 8th Wall share AR module, player data module, or game kit module? So I'm not 100% sure about like the question, like if
Ian could take that question, I think.
Yeah, so as of right now, Studio, the only module we have is landing pages, and we're certainly working on adding as many modules as we can, specifically multiplayer modules sometime in the future. So certainly feedback we're getting, and hopefully gonna get that soon for everybody.
Awesome, thank you. And then next question is, can we deploy this on app integrated, this on a mobile app, let's say, so that we can play?
The question is, can these work on a mobile phone, or these are web-based? And can these be integrated into an app?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like integrating any other website in. I've integrated them using different windows that just call a website inside of your mobile app before. It's basically like integrating in any other site. There's nothing special that you have to do to get it integrated into an application.
Yeah, what's cool about this is it's a web player, so it works on everything. So it's the URL that you create. You can think about maybe like mini clips I used to play back in the day. There's like a gaming website. It's essentially what it is. It lives on the web. All the assets live in that site. It's all hosted there.
Yeah, indeed. I think also from maybe if you're coming from the creative sides, right now there are a bunch of tools that you can use online to 3D model, and then it generates like a URL that you can integrate somewhere else. So yeah, this type of games goes with the same process, like it generates like a web base, a URL, but later you will need to integrate somewhere else and treat it as a URL. So. Awesome, perfect. We don't have any other, sorry, we have one more. Are we able to integrate it into a VR headset though?
Yes. Again, you're going to have to do some manipulation with just cleaning up the file. This isn't made for VR, but all of these go cross-platform. We've created other games for it, one called Cardboard Crashes I'm very proud of. But it works on the phone and on a headset seamlessly. And that's the same thing with these. So you just have to make sure that the controllers, of course, you have it set up correctly. But yeah, everything works cross-platform, which is really awesome. And yeah, Apple Vision Pro, Meta Quest, anything.
That's pretty amazing. The fact that you can create something like this and then wear it and then play. Right, awesome. So we don't have any other question coming in, but again, if you guys have it, please drop it on the Q&A. Alice, do you want to like share with us something else?
Yeah, I can take a quick pause here, and maybe what we can do now is split up a little bit. So for anyone that was building alongside Alex and maybe got stuck or has questions specifically to how to use Bunny Blitz, what we'll do is we'll create a breakout room where Declan and I will answer those questions. And for those of you that have more general questions, you can stay here in the room with Maria, Alex, and Ian. So if you can let me know in the chat if you'd like to continue to build Bunny Blitz, I will add you all to that breakout room.
Awesome, that sounds amazing. And in the meantime, we have a question from Rim. Can we customize some of the features? For example, make different things happen on certain events, like on Attract?
Yeah, yeah, these are completely open to whatever you guys want to do with them. But as far as the components that we have readily available here on the spawner, you can swap out the asset itself. You can swap out when the next one comes in. And the event manager. So we have the different audios play, but you can have different animations play when something like that happens. But you would have to do a little bit of custom coding to get that to work.
Awesome, that's perfect. I actually have a question more to the audience. We have been talking a lot about WebXR game. This is, of course, the theme. I would like to know who from the audience has actually built or experienced or created anything related with games. I know that some people is coming more from fashion, from immersive, but I would love to know who out there is into gaming and who is actually excited to create their own game. So please share it on the chat. And then Gavin has another question. Any idea if VPS is going to be integrated?
Yes, and I'll answer that question. So yeah, certainly something that I've noted and a lot of customers have noted in the past is building VPS experiences. With the cloud editor in the past, you don't have that kind of visual input. And so Studio is set very well for these type of experiences. And it's certainly something that we're currently looking into and incorporating into Studio. So you can imagine, bringing in your VPS mesh, into Studio, and then you're able to kind of move and place your virtual objects while you're actually seeing that mesh in the 3D viewport, making it much easier to build these types of experiences. So that is like #1 priority on the team timeline right now. So certainly something that's going to come in the future.
Awesome. That's good to hear. And I see that actually some people here on the chat has experience on SparkAR creating games. So Alex, next question is from me, if I can ask you. I know like a lot of people from the XR space normally start with something less scary than coding when it comes to games and things like that. So SparkAR, Lens Studio, and so on. You mentioned at the beginning that you actually have experience in those, and of course you are well experienced on this one. So for you, what are the advantages of creating like game on WebXR rather than on more the social AR tools?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the benefit is that there's no real hard limits. I would say the 8 megabyte limit's definitely very hard, and I think SparkAR is still at 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that requires definitely a lot of compression, a lot of limitations on how big the experience can be. You saw on our shooter, we had 3 different levels on that one. So that's a benefit, but the biggest benefit is that this is cross-platform, and that's where everything's pushing. There's not, you have to download this app to use it, or you have to have this device. This works on every device. Again, you can use this editor on your phone if you wanted to make a game like that. I wouldn't recommend that. It'd be probably a pain, but it's platform agnostic.
That's amazing. I would love to try to do this on my phone though.
Yeah, be my guest. I'd love to see that.
yeah. Totally. And then maybe we have talked about more like user-friendly beginner tool like SparkAR and Lens Studio. But I also know in the audience, because some of them are coming from StudyXR, that some people have experience with more advanced like Unity or Unreal. So could you also say like how different is to create something with XR, and especially how to publish, the process of publishing is compared to do it on, for example, Unity?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in order to publish, you have to click land. Then you can say I added a crocodile, and then you can click land and publish right here. And that will publish your link. So I can just call this croc demo, put a cover image there. And then your experience, sorry, my window is limited space here. Click done. And now I have published my first project. So if I go into my Eighth Wall projects, I can share that link with anyone. So that's the benefit of it. I'd say Unity is definitely a more robust tool. The idea behind this is that we're trying to take all the best parts of Unity, or all the parts that are necessary for game development, and again, making it simple to use so that you can test on any device simply, and be able to publish it to a URL instantly and immediately. I think Unity obviously does have features to be able to do that. But again, it's the simplicity of it.
Yeah, totally. I'm Unity user. I'm a game developer myself, and I can promise you guys that it's not that easy. The process is longer. So yeah, definitely this one it's totally a plus. And I can see that here Duan is saying that he would like to create some AR games and some commercial AR experience. And I think with the announcement that you guys did and the challenge that you guys have open, it's summer is a great time to, you know, to kind of like dive into tech and, you know, see and experience this type of games and get creative without the pressure of, you know, the heavy work months as it could be September, October, or November. So if you guys want to jump into that and give it a try, we will be more than happy to see what you guys create. And meanwhile, we have another question from Heather. So will it be possible to embed an experience inside an experience in eighth wall? Like, say, almost how we could embed an eighth wall experience into a mobile app. I think here we answer this one before. So Heather, if you can tell us exactly what's the question on the previous topic, just to refresh. Basically, the way to publish is like a URL, like a website. Think about something that is public on a website you can experience on a browser. So if you want to integrate on a mobile app, you will need to do the same type of integration as if you will do with any other URL that you want to include. Am I describing it correctly, Alex? Well, team at Bakewall. Okay. So Heather, if you want us like to specifically answer something about that process, please let us know. And then Kirill has another question. Hello, any tool like timeline inside Studio? Okay, so any feature related to timeline inside Studio? Maybe for you, Ian?
Timeline referring to an animation player?
Okay, let's clarify that. If I got it like from animation as well, so if you could tell us, Kirill, if it's related with animation.
Yeah, they're working on their animation player for sure. It's definitely very limited at the moment. It's pretty much whatever animations you have baked into your GLB file when you import them, and you can have them just sort of loop, like our little bunny here. And you can see our little fox, he plays his animation, and then it'll play his little idle animation for a second, but after a second it jumps back to its default state. And that's just the limitation at the moment. So I'd say it's definitely not a tool for animators. I'd recommend Blender.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important that you bring the assets with already those animation in mind and what you wanna do. It works really similar with any other tool, even like in Unity and Unreal. I think you need to kind of like come prepared, although there are possibilities, but it's better if you bring it already. Okay, so timeline like in Unity. Okay. Or an Unreal for animation logic time event. Okay, so did we answer your question already, Kirill, or do you want to dive more into that?
I want to hear a question from Scott. Scott, what's your question?
I actually, I mean, I've always wanted to create something for web, but since I have no coding background, I'm more of a design guy, so I usually feel not very connected to it. But I feel like this is an opportunity for me to start creating. So today I'm just listening and learning. No questions.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's the beauty of this. Hopefully over time, as more simple and robust templates come out, this is the first round of these, so do not expect them to be at the same level of ease as, say, a Lens Studio or a Spark AR. But the fact that you can visually make updates like this and you can see them happening live, if anyone's used Eighth Wall before that, they would know that this is leaps and bounds better than developing on Eighth Wall before this. So it's going to just keep getting better. And I think it's definitely very helpful for people like you, Scott. I think you're definitely like someone I was keeping in mind while building this, to try to give as many controls as possible without trying to make it too complicated.
That's awesome. And I think, Scott, it's so cool the fact that you come from a creative background, and it's totally understandable that first moment of saying like, well, code in, because I think we all have been there. Even the most experienced developer one day didn't know how to write the first line of code. So it's a common feeling. And with tools like this one, or the Spark AR, or any of the social AR, I think it's a way better entry point, so that you kind of like see that it's not that difficult once you know how to do it. But yeah, definitely like you need to choose the tools wisely on that. And yeah, also on our community, we talk a lot about different tools. So if you guys have any further question or anything like that, you are more than welcome to join us. And I think we are running out of time, and we also don't have any other additional questions. So thank you so much, 8th Wall, for running this event. Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you so much, Ian, Declan, Pablo, and everyone for taking the time. You know, like, if you want to build XR game, or if you want to become an XR creator, you are one step closer, because you took the time today to join this call and learn something new. Now the next step is to go to 8th Wall and finish the WebXR game that I'm sure you all have here. I'm sure you all have this idea, like zombie, crocodile, bunny, whatever you guys want to create. Please go. You can tag us, StudyXR, you can tag 8th Wall over there, and we would love to see it, give feedback, answer any question if you may have. Yeah, we will see you hopefully soon, until the next time, until the next event.